Hello and welcome. I'm Lissa, a personal finance expert and a certified financial planner. And today we are tackling something that holds many people back: bad money habits. Did you know that 77% of workers in America would experience financial difficulty if their paycheck was delayed by 1 week? This is from the Getting Paid in America survey from payroll.org. And it's kind of weird because I'm shocked, but not shocked. 77%, 3 out of 4 people, that's a lot though. That means people really need their paychecks to come on time. They don't have a buffer built in to have peace of mind beyond that. Now look, if you are in that boat, let me normalize it. For years, I was in that exact same cycle. To break it, I eventually had to be proactive about dropping bad money habits and building good ones. And that is when I saw changes start to happen with my money and my whole financial outlook, if I'm being honest. Today, I'm going to break down 8 of the most common bad money habits. And more importantly, I want to give you some guidance on how to flip those into good habits, good wealth building habits. And like I said, for me, this isn't just theory, I've lived it. In fact, 8 out of the 8 habits on this list are bad habits I personally used to have with money. But if you want something to look forward to, 8 out of 8 are also habits that I no longer fall victim to at all. So no shame here if you do any of these bad habits. I just hope that you believe you can turn things around as well and stop blocking yourself from wealth. So let's jump into the list. Bad habit number 1 is not paying yourself first. In other words, this is when you don't prioritize saving and investing. It means you give your money to everybody else before you even think about putting money aside to save or invest for the future. So when you prioritize paying bills, paying your rent, paying for discretionary fun expenses, it seems like you're doing that for yourself. I know, technically, discretionary expenses are sometimes for you, for yourself. But when you do all of these things, it's very easy to end up with very little or nothing for your future. You're not thinking about future you. So this habit of not paying yourself first and prioritizing everyone else stunts wealth building. It keeps a lot of people from living paycheck to paycheck, and that's why a lot of people end up relying on that next payday to make ends meet. As for me, I did not pay myself first for the first 31 years or so of my life. And that's because I didn't know that this was a thing. I thought that's how finances worked. You got paid and you obviously had to pay for all the things in your life, like your housing, your food, and everything else. And then if you had extra, you would save. But no. So that's one way to live life, but that's not how you build wealth. Now, according to a 2023 Bankrate survey, 49% of Americans have a less than $500 in savings, which just shows how common this issue is, the lack of prioritizing saving and investing for your future. Now, it is normal to feel like there's not enough money to save when life is so expensive. But you gotta know that small amounts can add up over time. And in order to build a better habit, what you can do instead is to pay yourself first. Treat saving or investing as a bill or treat it like a deduction. It's stuff that has to happen no matter what. So for example, you can automate saving 10% of your income or whatever amount you can afford and automate putting that into a separate account the same day you get paid. Even if you start with $20 or $50 a paycheck, that is better than nothing, and over time it's going to get easier as you build this habit. One way to look at it and think of it is kind of like a payroll deduction. If any of you contribute money to a 401k, or most of us have to withhold money for taxes, it's kind of like treating yourself as another payroll deduction. So before you even see that net amount of your check, you want to take out that deduction first and put it directly to your savings and investments. All right, bad habit number 2, lifestyle inflation, but specifically lifestyle creep. So when your income rises, it is very tempting to upgrade everything, right? To upgrade where you live, your home, your car, the vacations you take, the clothes you wear, the beauty services you get. I know, I have lived this. But when you do this all the time, every single time your income increases, it results in getting stuck on this financial treadmill. This habit, which is known as a lifestyle inflation, prevents you from building wealth and doesn't even matter how much you make. It keeps you reliant on your paycheck to pay for your lifestyle. So to be clear, lifestyle inflation is relatively normal, and it's bound to happen as you build wealth and as you increase your income over time. It's actually very normal and something that we should be okay with doing. But the true problem lies in lifestyle creep. So lifestyle creep is when it happens non-strategically. It's when it happens without you even noticing it. And as a result, it hurts all of your financial progress. It's like if you get a raise and you don't even look to see like how much that equates to in your regular day-to-day life, but then you start shopping more or at more expensive places. So the better habit to build if you want to prevent lifestyle creep and if you want to be in control of lifestyle inflation is to set a baseline lifestyle. So understand your lifestyle expenses, what it costs to pay for all of your needs and your wants, and then work to stick to that even as your income grows. As your income grows, you don't want to just do it all willy-nilly. You want to take a look at this baseline lifestyle budget and strategically calculate how much you can increase your expenses. The problem with not being strategic about it is you might inflate your lifestyle and spend more because you're making more, but you might not take into consideration inflation and the cost of things going up. Now, if you want a practical tip on how to control your lifestyle inflation, you can do this by paying yourself first, which we talked about earlier in the video. And anytime you increase how much you're paid, paying yourself first, if you're paying yourself a percentage of what you make, this will naturally go up, but I would even urge you to increase that percentage even more. So every time you increase your income, increase your saving and investing rate as well before you inflate your lifestyle. Bad habit number 3, not tracking spending, being aloof when it comes to your spending. When you don't know where your money is going, it is so easy to overspend. It is so easy to make impulsive purchases. It is so easy to forget about expenses like recurring subscriptions that you don't even use. This lack of awareness of your spending is a very, very major reason why a lot of people fail with budgeting, why a lot of people can't save, and why a lot of people can never get ahead of their finances. Now, I get it. A lot of people say the budget is the B word because they don't like budgets. And it's common to feel overwhelmed by the idea of having to track your money and to track every dollar that gets spent. But you should know with technology, there are so many tools now that make it easier. I personally use the budgeting app YNAB. You need a budget, but you can use a simple spreadsheet or a pen and paper or make it a regular habit to review all of your statements on a monthly basis, like your credit card statements. If you need a spreadsheet template, you can download my cash flow tracker and you can use the worksheet on it. So my cash flow tracker is really about doing an audit on your expenses, but you can also do it to track ongoing expenses as well. I'll drop the link for the free spreadsheet in the description. So to flip this habit, you are going to do your best to review your spending monthly and identify areas where you can cut back or save, or just review it regularly so that you know where your money is going. The worst is when you are paying for things that you didn't even know you were paying for and you can't get that money back. Bad habit number 4, another one that I was guilty of in the past, and that is not saving or investing early enough. So it's one bad habit to not save or invest at all and to not prioritize it. Like we said earlier, not pay yourself first. But it's another bad habit to not do it early enough. Now, a lot of people don't save because they prioritize consumption, using the money that they do make. And a lot of people don't invest for many reasons, but a big one that I hear all the time is that it's scary, right? It's scary for the potential of losing your money. But a huge reason it is not great to put off saving and investing is that you are just eating away at your potential for wealth. As you start to invest and you learn more about investing, you realize that time is your friend. The longer you can stay invested, the more potential you have to build wealth because you're allowing your money some time to grow. The more you delay investing, the more you miss out of the power of compounding. So many people put this off thinking that they're going to get to it later, and I get it. I know that it feels intimidating, or a lot of people actually don't think they have enough money to invest, but even small amounts can make a big impact over time. So if you can, start by investing $50 or $100 a month into some low-cost fund, or at the very least, contribute to your workplace retirement plan, especially if you get a match. When you automate these contributions, it makes it easier to stay consistent, and the sooner you start, the more you're going to thank yourself later. No one who ever built wealth through investing wishes they started later. It's always 100% of the time they wish they started earlier. So remember, time is your biggest ally when it comes to building wealth. Moving on, we are 4 down, we got 4 to go. Bad habit number 5. Only making minimum payments on credit cards. Again, something I used to be guilty of and I'm not anymore. Paying only the minimum on your credit card balances can lead to a cycle of debt as interest piles up, and annoyingly, it makes your small purchases way more expensive than they should have been. For example, let's say you used a credit card to buy a pair of shoes worth $100. If you only pay the minimum and it takes you a really long time to pay off that $100 purchase, it can, in some cases, end up costing you $200. Now, would you really have wanted those $100 shoes if you knew they were going to cost $200? So much for getting a good deal and finding some great shoes, right? The Federal Reserve actually reports that 47% of US households carried a credit card balance at some point in 2023, which highlights how common this problem is of using credit cards and not paying off the balance in full. So the obvious, I hope it's obvious, the obvious better habit that you can do here instead of just paying the minimum is to, first and foremost, treat your credit cards like debit cards. As in, don't treat them like extra money. Like if you have a $5,000 limit, that doesn't mean you have $5,000 extra dollars. Just treat your credit cards as if they are debit cards, that you're only allowed to use them if you have the money to pay for it already. Now, if you already have debt, you've already gotten yourself into some debt, it's not the end of the world, although sometimes it might feel like it. But what you want to do is to create a debt payoff plan or simply commit to paying off more than the minimum balance. And more importantly, as you work to get out of this debt, do everything within your control to not add more to it. Don't keep getting deeper and deeper in debt. If you want a free resource on creating a debt payoff plan, I will drop that link in the description for my debt payoff spreadsheet. All right, 3 bad habits left to go on this list. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, who isn't really a sponsor, but it's me. I have a quick announcement to share with you guys. If you are ready to take your personal finances to the next level, then I have something for you. It is a free webinar designed for beginners. I'm going to walk you through foundational steps to improve your finances, and I'm going to help you feel more confident with your money. It's going to be more in-depth than what I cover in my YouTube videos, and it's a live webinar, so I'm going to be there to answer your questions. Check out the pinned comment to sign up for the next webinar. All right, back to your regularly scheduled programming, which is back to me. And we're back. Bad habit number 6. Impulse purchases. If you struggle with impulse purchasing or spending of any kind, meaning you buy things on the fly without thinking them through, without checking your budget, if you have enough money, you just do it, then you definitely, first and foremost, should check out my other video called The 3 Hardest Spending Habits I Mastered. But also know that you're not alone. I want you to break this habit 100%, but let's be real, we're surrounded by advertisements all the time, all day, every day. And impulse purchases are often these emotional decisions that are triggered by all these different messages that we're being fed through advertisements, social media, everywhere. We are all prone to developing this habit of impulse purchases because of the psychology of marketing. Marketing tactics like limited time offers and big flashy ads, these are all designed to trigger spur of the moment purchases. They are all designed to tap into our emotions and convince us to buy things. Now, sometimes those things are things we actually want and need and have been thinking about, but a lot of the times they are also things that we think of in a split second and just purchase just because. It's the reality. Even myself as a business owner, I will say that these marketing tactics work and they can be good for business. But as a consumer myself, and for those of you out there, we're all consumers, what we have to do is build up our resilience and our awareness so that we can be in control. We want to be able to separate good deals that are aligned with our values and our wants and our needs and our goals versus irresponsible impulse purchases that we were convinced to do just because. So one way that you can break the habit of impulse purchasing is introduce a rule for yourself that you will have a cooling off period. So for example, the 48-hour rule. I always talk about this one, but if you're deciding you want to buy something that's discretionary, so you don't need it to survive, you should sit on that decision for at least 48 hours. That 48 hours gives you time to think it through, to decide, does this align with my financial goals? It gives you time to check your budget if you have the money for it. And it just creates space to make sure you aren't making a quick on-the-fly decision that you didn't actually want to make. Now, let me give you another quick tool, another rule. I've talked about this in other videos, but if it's something on sale, so this is how they get you, because they're like, you gotta buy it now, otherwise it's not gonna be there for this price anymore. So if it is something on sale, you can use what I call the 2x2 rule. I talk about it in this video, which you can check out, but basically only buy something on sale if it was already on your radar in the last 2 months, like you were doing research on it, considering buying it within the last 2 months, or if it's something you're intending to buy in the next 2 months. Like maybe you told yourself, all right, next month I'm gonna buy myself some new shoes. Now, if they happen to be on sale today, if you already knew that you were gonna buy it in the next 2 months, then okay, then you can allow yourself to buy it. It's not technically an impulse purchase because you were already thinking about it before. So over time, if you can build habits and rules like this for yourself, you are gonna learn how to not only recognize these marketing triggers, but you're gonna learn how to resist them and you're gonna learn how to be in control of them. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with buying things if you have the budget for it and if it's something that's gonna bring value to your life. You just wanna be able to separate what you truly want versus what an advertisement is telling you that you want. All right, bad habit number 7, neglecting emergency savings. All right, so like I said, 8 out of 8 of these bad habits I once did myself. And for this particular one, I neglected having an emergency savings because I didn't actually know what that was. I would save money for the sake of saving because that's what I was told I was supposed to do for financial security. But I would fall into these cycles of saving money and then spending it because isn't that what you're supposed to do also? So I didn't learn until later that there's a specific strategy to save money in a dedicated pot, maybe a dedicated bank account that you call your emergency fund. And this has one purpose, and it is to sit there. It is to sit there, not to be touched, not to be used unless of an emergency, like you've lost your income, like you've lost your job, like a medical emergency that you didn't plan for and that you don't have budget for, and those types of things. So when you don't have an emergency fund, you leave yourself vulnerable to these unexpected expenses that, yeah, you couldn't predict, but now that an emergency has happened, not only does it suck because it's an emergency and some kind of crisis in your life, but now your financial progress is going to come to a halt. You might have to rely on credit cards, on loans, on borrowing from friends and family, or simply finding a way but being so stressed throughout the whole situation. According to Bankrate's most recent emergency savings report, 27% of US adults have a no emergency savings whatsoever, And 43% of adults say that they would borrow money in order to cover an emergency. So it's very real out there. I pray and hope for the day that 100% of people have an emergency fund, because I don't want anyone to feel financial stress when you're already going through a crisis in life. That's the last thing you want, is to add to that crisis, add to that stress because of the financial stress. So to flip this habit, if you don't have an emergency fund, start small. Start with saving a few $100s, then turn that into a few thousand. Ultimately, you can aim to build 3 to 6 months worth of essential expenses, which is what most financial experts recommend, but you may need up to 12 months worth of emergency expenses depending on your circumstances. Regardless, as you are building that, because it might take time, just know that any amount is going to help you. Now, if you happen to be in the boat where you have a $0 emergency savings fund as of right now, then you can check out my video up here to build your first $1,000 emergency fund. All right, we are at the end of the video. One more bad habit I want to share with you and help you break if this is something you do, but that is trying to keep up with friends or social pressure. So I think this tends to happen the younger you are, but I think it can happen at all ages. Social pressure to match your friends or your peers' spending habits can totally wipe your financial progress, because most friend groups, not everyone's making the same amount of money, right? Yet if you guys all go to the same concerts together, get your nails done together at the same place, you're going to be affected differently. So I'm not telling you to break up with your friends. I'm simply saying that you want to get into the habit of spending based primarily and purely on your own wants and needs, and not because you're trying to keep up with anyone else, and that includes your friends. Now, I know a lot of times it's not even that your friends ask you to spend on the things that they're spending on, but it could be as simple as them inviting you to a restaurant that is out of your budget, or you feeling FOMO because you do want to go to that concert that everyone's going to. According to a study conducted online by the Harris Poll on behalf of Intuit Credit Karma, 48% of Gen Z and 40% of millennials say that social media causes them to spend money that they don't have, right? It's one thing to be influenced to spend money, but when you're spending money you don't have, you're going into debt. Now, what's even more striking is in that same study, they say that a majority of Gen Z, so 86% of Gen Z and 77% of millennials, are leaving 2024 having financial regrets. And those regrets range a whole lot of things, but they include not saving enough money and overspending. So oftentimes people are spending on things and wishing they hadn't. So it's natural to want to fit in, but true friends are going to understand if you want to suggest budget-friendly alternatives, or if you have bigger financial goals where you can't go out as often as you used to. Now, you don't have to drop all of your friends if they're not on the same wavelength, but what you can do is find more friends. Find other friends who have similar financial goals to you so that you can help keep each other accountable. All right. As I told y'all, 8 for 8 on the lists, and it's kind of embarrassing to say, but you know, it is what it is. That was old me. And new me, as you all know, is a personal finance expert. I am the founder of Wealth for Women of Color. I help people build wealth. I'm a certified financial planner, and I am on a daily basis building up my net worth. So if I can do all of that, then I know that you can kick some of these bad habits to the curb if you fall victim to any of them. And I know for a fact you're capable of replacing them with better money habits. I hope this video helped you. Until next time, peace out.